What's happening? We have got a hell of a show tonight, and we will be getting to that very shortly. Want to thank everyone who is here right now. So far, we have got Dan Stockwell's here. Thank you for being here. We have got John Rupp is here. Thank you for being here. And as usual, there is my baby. She is here tonight. Thank you very much. Mike James Bingston is here. Thank you for being here. We already got some people showing up, which is great. All right, so before we get started into all of this, I'm guessing everybody can see and hear me because nobody's, making comment that they just see my lips moving and nothing's coming out of there. So before we get too far into this, I want to go ahead and thank the sponsors. And first and foremost, I want to thank NSC TV Live Roadshow. That, if you don't know what it is, please, please, please reach out to me and I will get you in touch with the people that you need to get in touch with. It is a series of us podcasters and interviewers who work together to try to get the most exposure for our guests by going and putting them on a virtual road show. So they get a lot of shows in a very short amount of time, which is great for those campaigns that are out there to get your name out there in a very quick way. So that is the first one there. Next up, we have Totally Rad Comics, which is Jimmy Noble. If you don't know who Jimmy Noble is, then you haven't been paying that much attention to anything on internet whatsoever. And right now, Totally Rad Comics has their current Kickstarter in their last 2 days, or day and a half, something like that, of the campaign. And it is Show Me Your Hits. And yes, you heard that correctly. Show Me Your Hits. If you haven't seen it, go look it up. It is amazing. Next up, we have Big Dog Inc., which is Tom Hutchison. Right now, he has Legend of Oz on Kickstarter. You don't want to miss out on that one. If you miss out on some of the Kickstarter things that are on there, you will never see them again available. And if you do see them available later on by whatever chance on there, hey, you're going to pay for them. So make sure you get on the Kickstarter. Don't miss out on what's available on there. He is at the halfway point, I believe, now, so don't miss out on that one. Naughty Fairies, which is Wendy Steen Shaner, she has the Naughty Fairies 2K or 2K21 Comic-Con that's on right now. So don't miss out on that one because the Comic-Con she had last year broke all kinds of rules and barriers and everything before it was even needed. So now that she's doing her second one, it's really showing up well. So don't miss out on that one. She's down to her last few days on there. And finally, we have Codex Entertainment, which is Luis Torres. Luis doesn't have a current project on right now, but he is about to launch Nebula Pearl, and you do not want to miss out on that one. That will be available February 3rd is whenever he is launching, so do not miss out there. All right, so we've gone through the sponsors, we've gone through the startup on this, and yes, I am back with hell of a show. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce my guests tonight. We have two of them, actually. So I'm going to start off with Max DeVill is here. We'll bring him out.
Hello, hello, hello.
What's going on, Max? Appreciate you being on the show.
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. And we have also got Josh Hadley is here.
He's muted.
Well, I am here indeed.
There he is. There he is. He is here in button form. You'll be able to hear him, but he doesn't have video, so there's nothing wrong with your computers or anything. He's just on audio. So, and yeah, I know there's apparently something wrong with Facebook right now because I'm only on YouTube. I don't know what's going on with that one. I'll figure that out later on. But everyone's starting to move over here to YouTube. So if y'all in the audience don't mind going ahead and letting them know to migrate over here to YouTube, then we'll have a few more people over here. I'd appreciate that. Now, before we get started too far into this one, for those that don't know who you are out here, we'll start off with you, Max, and let us know who you are, what you do, and where to follow you. Just kind of give us a brief description on that.
What is your daddy and what does he do? I'm Max DeVill. I operate Atrocity Press. I'm also the writer of Mary Machinegun, which is distributed by Atrocity Press. Convenient that I distribute my own book through my own distributor. But I also have other books that are coming out that we'll be talking about one tonight called Neo Tokyo. The Truth is a Virus.
Very cool. And Josh, what about you? Oh, did we lose Josh?
I don't know. Well,
I can't see him moving, so I don't know if he's there or not.
yeah, I know.
So moving along with this, if you go ahead and tell us what's your origin story about getting into the comics. How did you start off into all this?
Into comics in general?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it started, my obsession with comic books started in probably when I was 6 or 7. I found most people find the box of magazines and books of their fathers, and usually it's not what I found. I mean, they find. Josh says he lost you. He lost Phil. Let's just have him leave the studio and come back in.
Yes. There we go.
Okay. So, anyways, downstairs in the basement, digging through a box of things, I find a box of books. It's a bunch of Isaac Asimov books and other sci-fi style books, you know.
Okay.
But there was also a stack of about 16 Vampirella magazines. So I started reading those when I was little because it made me feel funny in the pants. And I'd go down there and I'd get into the closet and I'd pull out the flashlight and I'd sit in the closet and I'd read all these things. And I mean, I could have just looked at them anyways, but I mean, it was more fun making it secret, I guess. And then after that, I mean, it was mostly Marvel stuff, DC stuff, you know, your standard Batman, Superman, X-Men, and then Image came out and they brought up Spawn, who was the first type of real anti-hero, like that was just over the top. I mean, it was always McFarlane, so you know, you had good art to it. I mean, there's no way to denying that. But the way that the pages were painted and stuff like that, they did that full edge to edge printing.
Mm-hmm.
It was just different, and I remember just falling in love with the way that looked. That's why Mary Machinegun's printed the way it is, because I wanted to kind of mimic the old Image stuff. But that's really what got me into comics. But I mean, we can go with where I went after that, but that's what got me into comics.
Very cool. Now, Josh, are you here now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Just I had to bump out and bump back in.
Okay. Yeah, it's you know, it's there's always something fun, you know, somewhere along there. So it's just, you know, a matter of sometimes jumping back out and jumping back in. But I was kind of going through the origin story of how you got into comics. What got you into this industry?
I've been reading comics since I was a little child. I actually wrote a piece for Stephen Buck's book on horror comics about how comic helped me through tough times, an alcoholic father, things like that, learning disabilities, things. Comic books always helped me through all of this stuff. And I've been wanting to write for years, but you know how difficult it is. You hear all these stories like Frank Miller just, you know, walked up to somebody who worked at, I can't remember if it was Marvel or DC at the time, just showed him his stuff and he's like, hey, let's hire you, kid. Those days are long gone. You cannot do that anymore. And I had already had a relationship with Max because I had written for him when he had the Grindhouse channel. And I don't know if we want to get into it, Max, but you had to fire me from that. And then you still hired me for this after a little thing I did online kind of blew back on you. So do we want to talk about that?
I don't care. We'll talk about it.
Well, I'm
so
going to
basically,
I'll disclaimer real quick because everyone knows that I don't allow the four main rules in the show. But this has to do with the origin of how they're working together and everything. So that's why I'll go ahead and allow this one to go through now. So just letting everybody know there is going to be political speak right now, but it is very brief, and we're not going to be bringing all this up in the audience.
Right. Basically, I was writing for him at the Grindhouse channel for, God, Max, what was this? 2016, 2017?
Yeah, he wrote for a couple years there too.
Yeah. And And I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. I'd been trolling him online, and I threw a comment from an Oliver Stone movie at him. And the comment was, thousands of people die every day. Why can't you be one of them? The Secret Service did not take the most kindly to that. And so I was investigated for threatening the president's life. They called Max. The Guardian did a whole write-up on this. If anyone thinks I'm exaggerating anything, you can find the old Guardian article. But Max had to let me go, and I totally understood. So I can't remember how you approached me about the comic, but you were like, hey, do you want to do this? And I'm like, well, if you're not mad at me, sure.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a thing like I was upset with your performance as a writer. I was just like, I can't have the Secret Service calling me because of stuff you're posting on your Twitter, dude. So I'm gonna have to.
And that's not unfair. But then he approached me with this. The general thing, without giving really anything away for Neo Tokyo Truth as a Virus, Max came up with the three main characters and the bad guys, the bad guy corporation, Morse Medical. Everything else, he just said, these are this, go crazy. And I did. He even made a comment the other day, and I wasn't sure how to take it. He's like, well, since you took everything into such a wildly different direction than I had envisioned, you need to write up the character bios because they're no longer what I thought they would be. And I thought he was ticked off at me at first, honestly.
No, not at all. I mean, to be honest, all three of the characters are Shadowrun characters that I have created over the days. If anyone knows what Shadowrun is, it's a role-playing game for tabletop. I guess they got video games for it too, but we play the tabletop game. And each of the three characters are one of my different Shadowrun characters. And I was like, you know what? If we're making a cyberpunk book, I'm going to do some self-insert stuff here and use my characters. And then you took them where you wanted to go with them. That's what I liked about it. It was not what I wanted, or not what I had envisioned, but just the sheer lunacy of it all is exactly what I wanted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, because again, without trying to give too much away, you've got the main character who starts the story, and we don't start with what would traditionally be a first issue. I plunk at the beginning of the story. You're going to go, was there a zero issue that I missed? And no, you didn't, because there's certain things that'll be added later, but the damage has already been done and events are already in motion as you jump into the comic. I didn't want to do here's this character, now here's what he does. I wanted to introduce the characters in a much more logical way, and intentionally I wanted to keep the characters sort of vague at first. I want them to there's that old thing, remember in The Simpsons when Bart lost his soul, he had to earn his soul back? I wanted these characters to earn their origin and not be told what their origins would be. Does that make any sense at all, or am I just babbling?
Nope,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, because sometimes instead of just throwing it directly in front of you, that way of just kind of giving a taste and then having it where you've got to read further into it to figure out what's going on. Because like you said, the whole time you think you might be looking at something where you thought you missed a zero issue, makes it where you keep reading every issue going along because you want to figure out what's going on with it.
Well, and I did this in a weird way. I was initially plotting things out in a certain way, and then Max came to me and he's like, well, we don't have a lot of action at the beginning. We need some more action. So I went back to an earlier page and I added an action beat. And again, I'm not sure if this was sleep deprivation or not. I don't remember. I have an explicit reference to Neuromancer from William Gibson in there that people may or may not get. But it's more of an in-joke than me trying to say, oh, this takes place in the Neuromancer universe. It's very much an in-joke, and once you see how the page plays out, you'll understand how.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, before we get too much, because I've actually got some artwork that we're going to show for the Neo Tokyo thing as well. let's go ahead and discuss about Mary Machinegun, because yes, the
Okay.
campaigns are over with, but the series is not, correct? There's going to be more involved in this. Please tell
Oh
me.
yeah, there in just the way we broke it down was there's three issues per story arc, so it's kind of like, the beginning, middle, and the end. Your 3-act structure. That's basically what we're following, and so there'll be 3 issues of it, and then once that's done, we're going to start another 3 issues. It's basically just going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 until either it just becomes financially and incapable of being done anymore, or we decide that we told all the stories we want to tell with the character for a while and retire her back and do something else.
Well, I know in my experience with Mary Machinegun, because I backed it, but it's not just one of those things where you look at the covers and you're like, okay, this is a great looking cover and everything. You showed a few of the pages of the interior, and
Yep.
that got my attention because, number one, it has that feel, like you said, with the full bleed, with the pages just like jumping out at you on there. I mean, it's a page turner, not even knowing what's going on. I just wanted to flip through the Kickstarter several times in Indiegogo and just look at those pages over and over. So that's what got me. And then I heard some of the interior, like the storyline with it, and I was like, oh, I got a winner here. I'm glad I got on this one. So I didn't want to miss it. So is there something possibly, because I already know we have one guy in here for sure that likes to get some of the stuff that I recommend, because I've given him some great stuff on ideas and everything, and he's going to ask the question: is there any way that he can go back and get the first issue whenever you keep going with the other ones?
Yeah, as soon as we finish fulfilling all the Kickstarters, we fulfilled Indiegogos today. We stuck them in the mail and mailed them out. So all the Indiegogo backers, you will have them in 3 days. Well, so says USPS. So we'll see. But they're all in Gemini mailers. We've got them all packed up real nice. So I don't think that they'll bend them up too bad.
I want to add something about Sister Mary Machinegun.
Yeah.
If you guys like that early 90s image stuff, it has a lot of feel for that. I don't think I'm overselling it there, Max. Do you? I think you were going for that early 90s image stuff, weren't you?
That I said earlier that was why it was printed the way it was, and that's what really, I mean, when Spawn was the first comic character that really grabbed a hold of me and just took me, like, it was like I'd ride my bike to the grocery store 6 miles away just to go grab the new Spawn issue.
Mm-hmm.
But that was, I mean, any other time I just kind of go up there, grocery store with my parents, just looking at the magazine rack and the newsstand, grab 4 or 5 comics, and then be done for the week. But as soon as Spawn came out, I was riding my bike to the grocery store every Wednesday that I could get them, just have the money to go pick it up. And the way it looked, I was really liked it. And then you can also definitely tell there's a Top Cow bent to the art, and I think that's something Fernando brings to the artwork, is that Top Cow look. And you'll see it in a little bit, but he's a fantastic artist. Dude is,
Yeah, actually, I mean, and talking about his stuff, because he did some of the work, or he did the work that you sent me. That's all. Is that all Fernando?
yeah. Well, not all of it's Fernando. I don't think so.
Okay.
But all the sky pinups, the pinups of the girl, those are all Fernando that he did those. There's a couple different ones. We'll get to them when we get to them. I know the artist names.
Okay. And we'll show those here shortly on that. But again, I mean, the Mary Machinegun did very well on both Indiegogo and Kickstarter. It got a lot of attention, and it got a lot of attention of new backers that had no idea what to expect with it. And I think moving forward, it's probably going to get a lot more, just because it has that feel.
I really hope so. I mean, we're hoping to get through all 3 of them. I mean, I've got the money to fund it anyways, but it's kind of like, do I want to? It's not just. I don't want to spend the money. I'm spending my savings
Right.
to make
Right.
it
I mean,
happen.
it's much better when
Because
it's a return investment, especially, if they go ahead and pay for it all, take care of the goal and all the overhead and everything. So that way you're just flipping it back and forth, and trying to get more out of it.
I pay for everything up front. I pay for all the art and everything. We get it all done up front.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually let Mary Machinegun go into Kickstarter or Indiegogo until I think we had like 6 pages left to letter or something like that. I mean, I don't want to be one of those those campaigns that are like, okay, well, I need $8,000 to make this comic book, and we haven't even started yet. We need all this money to pay for the artists, and I'm like, okay, I dig you got the passion to make a comic book, and you really think that you can do it, and maybe you can. A lot of people they get funded doing that. If they get the right artists and everything, and everyone gets really into it, then they'll get funded. But I didn't want to do it that way. I wanted to go ahead and I believed in the product, so I wanted to just put my money behind it all. And then after it's all said and done, I keep whatever. If it makes a bunch of money, then congratulations to me. If it doesn't make a bunch of money, then I spent that. This is my hobby now, is making comic books. I don't look at things as like, I go to the store and I'll see a game and it'll be like, oh, it's $60. I don't see that as that's $60. I'm like, that's inking for a page,
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at it like that, it's got, that's how I spend all my extra time and money is put into the distribution house, Prosody Press.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And we have a comment that I just put up there. Stockwell, that is Dan Stockwell. Yeah, he said he needs to get it. I'm telling you, this guy is all over this. Whenever I say it's something good on there, and he starts seeing the passion from the artist and everything, he's all over these things. And Dan, you need to get it most definitely. So I'll keep you posted.
The if you want to get it after we fulfill all the Kickstarter, finish mailing it out, it will be available on our website, atrocitypress.com.
There you go.
And so then, of course, when we do the next Kickstarter, we'll have a catch-up pack to where people can get 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's always good to have that on there. That way, because if you're getting new backers, especially, they can be like, well, hey, the first one I missed for whatever reason, probably just because, 2020 in general.
Yeah.
But, hey, catching up on the second one, but I really would, I'm a completist. I got to have all of it. Then that'll give you the chance to do that, and that's a good thing to do. So
they don't feel like they're missing something.
Exactly.
They don't come in halfway.
Now, the next thing I want to talk about is because actually Dan put another thing up on here. He was talking about the the Neo Tokyo series there. How many books will be in the series is what he's asking.
There will be 3 books for it, and each one will be distinctly different from the other. Each one leads directly into the other, but each one, and I've discussed this with Max, will stylistically feel totally different than the previous one. Even the way, because like I do full breakdowns when I do writing, like 4 panels arranged geometrically like this, and then I describe what's in the panels. Book 2 and book 3, I'm writing very differently with panel layouts. Max has already seen, he can confirm some of this. So each one, even though as far as I'm aware, they all have the same artist, they should, in theory, feel very different ways of telling one continuing story if this works out.
Yeah,
I think
that sounds like a good way of doing that, because that way you get more people hooked on that. Because instead of just throwing it out there and being like, this is what we offer, this is our good number 1 right here, and that's all there is to it. We hope you get the other 2. That gives you that feel of, okay, I can't breathe without knowing what's going on, what's going to happen on here.
Yep.
Well, each book even has a different I don't know if you want to say genre feel. The first book is very much a cyberpunk book. Without giving too much away, the second book is much more action oriented, and then the third book will be tying everything together with, I don't know, would it be right to say a conspiratorial feel, Max?
Yeah,
Since I've told you where everything goes.
very kind of cloak and daggery, I
Yeah.
guess.
So
Okay.
each one will kind of be a different genre, all within the same genre, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Now, I'm actually going to bring up some artwork here, so we're going to start talking more about the Neo Tokyo. Let me do a share screen here. And we're going to kind of go through the different ones that are on here and talk about them. That way you can let us know, who the artist is and everything, and we can kind of talk about what the background is for these.
Yeah.
Because these are some amazing, I mean, the artwork that you sent is pretty bad. It's some nice stuff.
Yep. This is okay. There's the female character Sky. She's a wet work assassin. She's lesbian. She likes to double as an exotic dancer because she gets to keep all of her expenses under the table, and it helps her get close to some of her targets and clients. This is from a series that is going to be for the calendar when we go, because we did a calendar with Mary Machinegun and it turned out really well.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna do it again with Neo Tokyo. We're gonna keep doing them because people seem to dig them and I like them. So even if they don't sell, I can keep them for myself.
Very nice. And then we got this one here.
That is Virus, and Josh can tell you more about him.
Jonathan Swall. He's one of those smart-ass guys who thinks the world is at his fingertips and that he is completely untouchable. And you know what they say about playing with fire. Eventually you get burned.
Yeah, I mean, just whenever I saw this artwork and everything come through and all, I mean, that without knowing the story has a lot to say about it. So, I mean, it's really cool looking with that. So it's got me interested already in figuring out, okay, this seems like it could go somewhere and somewhere different. And especially because there's different forms of art that are in here. And like you said, it's different styles that are in there. And you can definitely see as we go through.
Yep, that artist back there was it's Alzir Alves.
Mm-hmm.
He's a pretty prominent Brazilian comic artist. He owns Rashwan Studios or whatever. I can't remember what it's called, but they basically have it's a whole college for comic art in Brazil.
Okay.
This one's done by a guy named Mateus Duarte, who's the actual interior artist on the book itself. And this is Machine. He's a cybernetic monstrosity. Josh?
He is one of those guys that you want as your best friend because he strives loyalty over everything and his friends mean more to him than a job, but he's rash and doesn't think things through sometimes, which comes back to bite you in the ass at times because he just flies off the hip.
Nice.
This is for January. It's the inspiration was Kill Bill. This is Sky once again. All the pinup stuff for the calendar is going to be Sky. It's going to be her calendar. But this is January. It's for starting the year off with the bang.
At one point in one of the scripts, and I haven't seen this page yet, so I still don't know. Max, didn't I put something like, why don't we give her laser stockings? We're in a cyberpunk future. Let's use it or something like that.
Yeah.
I still don't know if that turned out looking good or not.
We haven't gotten them colored yet. We've gotten 6 pages of it colored, and there's 18 pages drawn and inked. So Fernando had just gotten a new Huion, however you say it, Huion, or whatever, Huion. So Huion. Basically it's a a W or an XP pin or a what do they call Wacom tablet.
Mm-hmm.
But he got a new one, so before he started to do the colorings on any more pages for the comic, he wanted to go ahead and just get used to it. So that's when he did all the calendar images, do the calendar art, so he get used to the thing. This is Sky just rocking out with the guitar there. I think
Sky comes from I like this image a lot. Sky comes from a background where she was originally a street rat that was raised by, I guess the only way to put it was an old disgruntled hippie. So
paranoid,
her
schizophrenic.
yeah, borderline schizophrenic, and okay, we're not going to get into QI here, but she was raised on the street, so she doesn't have the same kind of artificial values that other wets would have. That she very much is from this world. She was taught on junk because QI lives in a giant junkyard where he has tunnels and booby traps everywhere because he's paranoid. But they always say just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they aren't after you.
Exactly.
Why? What have you heard? Oh, I'm sorry.
And I do want to say something about this picture, though. Max, the dog, I could not work into book 1. I could not figure out how to do it, even though he's in the promotional art. He does show up in book 2 in a fun way, but I just could not figure out how to get the Robo Dog into the first book without just taking a whole page away from the flow.
Yeah, just jamming him in there. That's okay. That's fine. It's still Sky's. That's Sky's robot dog, Max, I believe is what we ended up calling him because I can go ahead and do that.
Creative control.
Yep. This is once again by Alzir Alves. This piece is one of my favorites. I love it. I love the way the dog looks, the way Sky comes off. Almost has that Psylocke look to her. And Machine's up there with looks like a jet engine.
Yeah.
Some sort of ion cannon. We got Virus in there just running his AR keyboard. I just think it's fantastic. I think this will probably be for April. This is Sky just getting ready to take a photograph. Because cameras still exist in this world apparently.
The future we're in is sort of a backwards future because this is not a plot spoiler, but Tom Snyder, the talk show host from the 70s through the 90s, is still alive in the cyberpunk future because he appears on one of the pages. I just always liked Tom Snyder, so I'm like, because he's still alive in this future, I don't care why.
Mike says he likes multicolored hair. Yeah, that's interesting there. I like that one. As soon as I saw that one, of course, I thought of one of my sponsors on here because one of his main characters, she wears the brightly colored stuff like that too. But well, she's a clown of a different taste. Jim Noble and Totally Right.
I was going to say you're talking about Jim's book.
By itself. What's that?
I was going to say you're talking about Jim's stuff.
Yeah, that's a whole genre by itself right there.
Yeah. This one will probably be later in the summer. We haven't quite nailed down exactly which ones will be where. This might end up being March because of the green in the background. Mm-hmm. But Sky is a stripper, so we have to have the obligatory pin-up poses. And they look good.
You got to do what you got to do to get money. I mean, how you do that. I'm not going to say I've never done that pose, but I'm not going to say I have either. So, there's your therapy bill for the week.
This one's also by the interior artist Mateus. Machine, Sky, and Virus hanging out, hacking into the system, trying to get the door open. And one of my favorite things is in the background. You can see very far back there's a shark in a tank, in a building. And I was like, why did we put a shark in a building? And he's like, it's cyberpunk. It's supposed to be excess. Who cares? I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. That sounds good. At least didn't try to put a
freaking lasers on his freaking head.
I know, that's what I was thinking. Go ahead and put some laser beams on there. This picture is just, one of your standard boudoir pictures, but it does show a little bit of sky cybernetics. The red, or the two big bars on her right arm. That's covering up some of her cybernetics in there. And if you look on her left arm, you can see that her tattoo actually can be changed as to whatever she wants it to be for her sleeve from that point down. And that's part of her cybernetic things. It's the stuff of the future. You can change your tattoos because you basically just put derma skin on over yourself.
I like that Christina said clowns are evil. Well, then there's one page of Neo Tokyo Truth is a Virus you not like. There is a character. I just got to say his name. He was created at the end of a giant sleep deprivation term for me, so I don't even remember creating him. Max was riding my ass about getting me pages. Where's my pages? And I sent him pages I don't remember writing, and he loved them. But the character is an evil clown called Professor Crunknuts. He only appears on one page, but we all like him so much he might maybe get like a backup feature or something, because I kind of want to do something with Professor Crunknuts that is more than just something I came up with while sleep deprived.
I think we might actually do a little mini story and put it in the back of one of the books.
I can say something like that, but I can honestly see something like that being on a T-shirt and going pretty good. So
that's true too. Maybe we should put him on the shirt for the campaign.
And he also has some weird things. There are some things that it's going to look like on his page that the artist added. No, some of the weirdness has actually that was in the script. Max can back me up. There's a really weird side thing I have going on in each of the panels that was scripted out.
Once again, she's a stripper.
Can we say the name of the lesbian strip club that she works at?
Yeah.
She works at the lesbian strip club Tits Up. And the door woman, because this area of the city is run by lesbian Nazis who they don't wear tops and they have swastikas over their boobs, and their gang is called the Swastikants.
And they run the whole area of town. Because
and the leader,
all the cyberpunk, you always have to have just the over the top gangs. You have to have it. It's like a requirement. If you don't have over the top gangs, you have to have the aesthetic of everything. I really want you to use like a 70s aesthetic once too. I don't know what we'd call them. But
trust me. I know exactly what you mean. And let's just say there's a Warriors influence that comes in at part of book 2.
All right,
there's very much a Warriors influence.
And that works.
Probably more than you might be happy with, but there is. Because I have a thing where in the first book, every other page is a satire of the media. Now, it's not just random cutaways. This isn't like Family Guy where it's a random cutaway that means nothing. It'll be like you're turning to a channel and you're seeing how the exact same events are being filtered through very different media outlets, including some pretty absurd ones. And so every even numbered page is the actual story with Sky, Machine, and Virus, and every odd numbered page is a media satire of commenting on whatever is moving the story along. So I thought I was being artistic.
It's very Paul Verhoeven.
I worked in TV news, live TV news for a decade. So satirizing the media has always been something I've wanted to do.
Now, with this is kind of bouncing back and forth on this one though, but like Mary Machinegun, you had some amazing stretch goals that were in there. The tiers were set up. I mean, it was some great tiers. I mean, it gave you all kinds of options. And with Neo Tokyo, can you give us a taste of what we're thinking about doing for tiers or for stretch goals on that?
Well, we haven't quite exactly figured everything out on what we're going to do for stretch goals yet. We don't like to do just stretch goals where it's just like, okay, you do this and you get a trading card and you get we did do trading cards for Mary Machinegun, but we tried to make the cards cool. Now I don't like it when it's just like you get a card and you get a card and you get a card and that's it. Or you get a bunch of stuff that you'll never really look at or use or care about after it's said and done. So like with the Mary Machinegun when we did, I don't have one near me, but it's a necklace with the Templar Tri-Bar cross on it. Which doesn't really exist. We just kind of made it up. I mean, the cross, there's one that looks a lot like it, but it's not the same thing. Something we made up. It's just the logo for the Templars, the organization that Mary works for. You could put that on your bag. You could put that on your keychain. You could wear it if you really want to. I mean, it looks pretty cool. It's black with the laser engraved silver stuff off of it, so it looks and feels super smooth, super fantastic. I like that. The t-shirt didn't do very, very well in the Indiegogo, so we kind of dropped it when we went over to Kickstarter, because it really doesn't matter because they were all print-on-demand shirts anyways.
Right.
But I just didn't want to bother with it if it wasn't going to be something that sold well. But it makes sense because it was just the logo for the book, because that's all we had at the time when I had to have those stuff in for the t-shirts to be proofed and have the cool little pictures, and so we could throw it up on Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And that was one thing I did like about Indiegogo over Kickstarter, was that you could put pictures on each of your tiers, reward tiers, because you can't do that on Kickstarter. But
yeah, it does give you a little more expandability on Indiegogo. I'm hoping the Kickstarter is starting to learn from that, because whenever they started doing their add-ons the way that they're doing, which I will say unfortunately crashed just recently.
Yeah,
but hopefully they'll get that back up again.
It is in beta. They offered it to me to use when I was creating the Mary Machinegun thing, and I was like, I would, but I don't want to beta test something that could break my first Kickstarter, and I've never done this before, so right. I don't want to screw myself out of just somehow end up breaking something. End up having to send a whole bunch of stuff. Have to send a whole bunch of stuff overseas and not collect any shipping for it or something. I mean, it'd be crazy. Something crazy would happen because I'd set it up wrong.
Now y'all are looking at around April for the launch date for Neo Tokyo, correct?
Yep, we're gonna try to make it April 1st, just because it's funny. But if we don't, it'll be the first week of April. We've got 18 pages, as I said, drawn and inked, and there's 6 pages that are colored. Josh wrote a bunch of nudity into the book. Son of a bitch.
Hey, you said we could, and I didn't write a bunch of nudity. One of the satire channels is an all-nude soap opera channel, so I do remember there was that. And then there's a nude mutant woman, but that's not supposed to be like sexy nude. It's just, it's still nudity.
Yeah, it's still nudity, but that was one of the things that's like, I was like, okay, so I've got so many pages. Because what we did with Mary Machinegun, as you said, Phil, is we released the first 7 pages, I think, of the book, and I don't think we're going to be able to do that again, just because Kickstarter's starting to kind of sounds like they're starting to kind of crack down on what they're allowing people to put as imagery in their Kickstarter campaigns. I don't know if someone just recently got uh, denied for
That would be Luis Torres,
yeah
Nebula Pearl, which he doesn't understand. We don't understand because it wasn't even bad covers and stuff like that. There were a few nude ones, but he put the bars on there, and they still said. So he changed the banner up at the top, the where the video would be. He changed the banner, and he changed a couple of the covers underneath, and was allowed. They went ahead and approved it afterwards. So
see, that's what I'm saying. There's like you can't tell. I mean, it was probably just 2 different people's opinion.
hey, if you're not offending somebody with your stuff, then you're not trying hard enough.
Exactly. I was kind of hoping for some blowback against Mary Machinegun. I was like, yeah, go ahead and blow me up. Give me a whole bunch of people. Put a whole ton of eyes on my thing. That's what I want.
We might get that for Neo though, because we have 2 black male protagonists and a lesbian white female as our protagonist, and you and I are hardly SJWs, but it fits right into that little narrow thing, and we didn't intend that. It just sort of happened.
It was just characters that we've used or I had created before, so it's not like we're trying to turn Thor into a woman or something like that. We're making new characters.
Exactly.
Maybe the lesbian Nazis with swastikas on their boobs, maybe those will offend somebody.
Yeah, that'll probably get someone. Someone will get mad just because it's got the
swastikas on it.
Yeah.
And there was also in the script, there's a whole lot of slang in this future. We use a lot of, I had to make up all of these words. At one point, Max is like, you are really good at making up this future slang. And at one point, because our 2 main male characters are both black, I was going to have machine call virus, you know what other word he would use there, right? And I said to myself, not out of a censorship thing, but I said, would they really still use that word in the future? No. I got to come up with something else. So I was thinking about what also means black. Stygian. So they call people my Styges in this.
Huh. That's different.
I had to come up with something because I wasn't going to be able to use the double G word. So
right.
Yeah, we gotta. I mean, it's not a censorship thing. I mean, I remember us having a conversation about it, and you were like, I don't think it's not really. I'm not wanting to self-censor myself or anything, but I don't think that it would be something that would be used. And I was like, I agree.
Yeah, it seems like that word wouldn't exist in whatever vague year we're setting this in. I don't think we ever say what year it is.
No,
but it didn't seem like a word they would still use, so I wanted to come up with something that would be the equivalent. But you can call somebody a Stygian. That's not racist.
Yep.
Most people are probably going to have to look it up and see what it is anyway.
They're going to have to do that with a couple of things. I made up some really weird terms, like the Professor Crunknuts thing. He's mad at the villain company for not allowing clownoscopies on people. That's obviously not a thing, but it sounds almost dirty.
What did Ricky Grouse? He said he wanted a finger job or something like that.
Oh yeah, because There's a not Disney. I think I called them Dizknee. I called them the Disney Corporation or something. And one of the characters is Ricky Grouse, and he's just foul mouthed. And yeah, he wants like a finger job or a double oil job or something.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I came up with lots of really weird stuff for this that I hope doesn't seem out of place when you actually see it.
I'm definitely interested in seeing what this is going to turn out to be with all of this in there. It just seems like it's going to be a fun, satirical, setup on there, and just something lighthearted, to look at, and just there's too much, heavy hitting stuff going on in the world nowadays. You just got to have something lighthearted to pick up and feel better about something.
One of the media channels that they go to is an S&M channel, and the S&M lady is talking about the events of what's happened on the previous page and that. And I actually went to a dominatrix friend of mine to make sure I got the lingo down right. I wish I were making that up.
That's putting some serious effort into what you're writing. That's for certain.
Well, how often do you get to be like, I got to go talk to a dominatrix, just for work?
It's research, honey. Honest, it's research.
I swear to God, that's why I'm looking at all the porn.
Yeah, I was going to say, most people that are doing the comics and the covers and stuff like that, I know a bunch of them that I know if they ever pass away and someone goes and looks at their hard drive, they're going to be like, these are some troubled people. It's
Oh, no. Okay, everybody out there needs to have their porn buddy. That's if you die, you have a buddy that will go and erase all of the porn on your hard drive. Everyone needs to get their porn buddy, somebody in town that's going to have their back.
We will keep
I don't want one
for next time.
I want like a dead man's switch that, like, as soon as I die, it just blasts out all the stuff that I was watching. I want everybody to see it.
There you go.
I need to create like a Pornhub playlist or something. I don't know if you can do that.
I was actually thinking about writing a prose story about an anonymous type group that gets everyone's browser histories and releases it on the internet, so there are no secrets anymore. Like, how are you going to look at the people walking down the street when you know all the sick shit that they've been watching? And I just thought that would be a way to sort of cleanse all of this facetiousness that we have with one another. I just can't figure out how to do it without coming across preachy and goofy.
Just don't be looking at demon fills any whatsoever. Don't look at demon fills at all. No.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I noticed when I was going through and making all the packages, because we did them all by hand for the Indiegogo and the Kickstarter, was we had a lot of people that backed us both on Indiegogo and Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was an amazing. I was impressed because I'm not saying it was the majority of the people or anything, but when you're going through it and you're like, oh, I've seen that name twice now. Is that the same? That is the same guy. Hey, thanks, buddy. You are on my Christmas card list.
There you go.
What I'm really afraid of when we do the Kickstarter for Neo Tokyo is that the absolute clusterfuck of Cyberpunk 2077's rollout, I'm hoping that doesn't end up hurting us. Like that all of a sudden there's a backlash against Cyberpunk books. I'm a little afraid of that.
No, I think that maybe people will need it to cleanse their palate. I don't know. Because I've got Cyberpunk 2077 because I love Cyberpunk stuff. But I haven't played. I've probably played it for 15 hours total.
I decided just to wait. I'm going to wait until they fix it, and then I'll get it. There's no point playing it and then getting all frustrated that your character is T-posing and all this. So I'm just going to wait till they fix it.
Yep. I don't blame you. I got the PC version because it was the most up-to-date and there wasn't nearly as many problems with it as there was with the PlayStation or the Xbox versions. So, because I haven't run into
we also have. Go ahead, Max. Sorry.
I haven't run into any game breaking bugs or computer crashes. I haven't crashed or anything. I've seen like cigarettes that are floating in the air to nothing. You can see the animation moving as if someone were smoking it. So it's just a cigarette just dancing around in the air. And I've seen some T-posing guys, and there was some like pathfinding problems. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty good. I've been busy, so I haven't been able to play it as much as I'd like. But also, I don't know if it's just not grabbing me. Because
we're also making comic books here too, you know.
That is true. I do have lots of things to do.
Because that's what I was going to say. The Neo Tokyo book, assuming this plays out, I've already written 2 shorter backup stories that we hope are going to appear in the book. That they're both cyberpunky, but they may or may not be related to the same world. Is I've got a couple of them that I wrote and I gave to Max that they're definitely cyberpunk. I just am not 100% sure they're going to fit into the same continuity as Truth is a Virus.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not. That's kind of the whole idea behind the Neo Tokyo. It's the most generic term for a city that they've got in Cyberpunk is Neo Tokyo. I mean, everything's got it in it, from Akira to Bubblegum Crisis to just, all the old Japanese animation things with the Cyberpunk versions or the Cyberpunk aesthetic. It's always got Neo Tokyo. In Shadowrun, there's Neo Tokyo. In Cyberpunk, I think there was New Tokyo or something. But or New Japan or New Nippon.
No. In Cyberpunk, it's Night City.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's Night City.
In the Cyberpunk game, it was always Night City was the main hub. But I think it was supposed to be Neo Tokyo, really.
Dan's asking if y'all will be autographing the books as well.
I can definitely get it done. We'll probably, if Josh wants to sign the books, then I'll have to mail them to him, and he'll have to sign a bunch of books and mail them back.
Why would you want my signature ruining an otherwise great comic book?
That was one of the things that really kind of got me, was all the people, because one of the things I put on the Kickstarter survey was like, do you want it signed? I mean, Indiegogo people, I didn't sign any of them because there's no way to communicate with the buyer,
right?
And I don't. And as Josh said, I mean, if someone doesn't want it marring up their comic book, because I'm shocked at how many people actually did want me to sign their comic book, and it was very humbling. But there are people in there that didn't want it done. I mean, I'd probably say 25% of the people didn't want their book signed. So that's why, if anyone on Indiegogo is like, why couldn't I get my book signed? Have Demons Phil autograph.
Yeah, I knew that was coming up because he has the one and only Demon Phil autograph. The one time I signed on my my brand that I used to be a part of, that I am no longer affiliated with in any form or fashion. Yeah, I signed a book there, and he has got 2 of them with 2 signatures, and I never did it to anything else. So yeah, he's got some serious gold there.
There you go.
I've always been weirded out when people ask me they'll bring up like a Fangoria I had an article in, or a Hustler or something like that. I've worked for a bunch of different magazines, and it's like, but you have a perfectly good magazine. Why do you want me scribbling all over this? It doesn't make sense. I'm nobody.
Hey, you got to have the input in there to get the story going and everything, because Hustler's all about the story.
Actually, the biggest article I wrote for them was it was about, I swear to God, I'm not kidding. It was called "You Got Porn in My Movie." No, you got movie in my porn. and it was about the porns where from the 70s and early 80s, where the story was so good, the sex got in the way of the story. I was like, just come already. I want to see what happens next. That's actually what it was. It was a 5-page article. That was the biggest one I wrote for Hustler. And that's what it was about. It was about the freaking stories. I wish I were kidding.
I'm going to have to read that. For reference material, of course,
for reference,
yeah. Not that
I had to watch all of these and take notes, and it's like, no, I really am researching something for Hustler. I really am. but then again, Hustler also, okay, you know how the Hustler comics, the comic strips are really dirty?
Mm-hmm.
I proposed a couple that were so dirty, even Hustler said we can't print that.
We can't. No.
I still would love to have them printed somewhere. Maybe Max will do it, but some of these are really nasty.
I don't know. I'm pretty much up for printing most stuff. That's the beauty of living in America with the First Amendment, boy. We can print whatever we want.
If not, I know a couple other creators that would have no problem with it.
Yeah.
And I think a couple of them are actually my sponsors. What?
Yeah. What?
Actually, weirdly enough, when it comes to that kind of thing, Fangoria censored me more than any other magazine ever did.
Really?
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Blood Beach?
Yeah.
No.
I know Max has.
Yeah. I would say we had it on Grindhouse channel.
Well, remember how at one point a guy tries to rape a girl and then he falls flat down and the monster in the sand bites his penis off?
Yep.
And the monster's very vagina looking? They actually changed penis to, I think, his manhood, and they changed vagina-looking monster to feminine-looking monster. And I was like, seriously, Fangoria? Really? It's like, it's not like I was saying fuck. It's not like I was saying pussy. And they still had to neuter it a little bit. I was very disappointed that the editor did that, but the editor was a friend, so I didn't fight him on it. It just, I was like, really?
Yeah, you're really gonna have to. That's the line, huh? You can show. I mean, look at the cover, and look at the dude with his face half bashed apart.
Yeah, you can chainsaw a guy's head in half on the cover, but I can't say vagina-looking monster.
Oh, so many jokes in my head right now, and I am biting my tongue.
If you guys have never seen Blood Beach, though, it has the best poster tagline ever. Now, you got to remember it came out right after Jaws 2. Remember the tagline for Jaws 2 was just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water? The tagline for Blood Beach was just when you thought it was safe to go back to the water, you can't get to it. Because the monster was under the sand in the beach. I thought that was a brilliantly punny tagline.
Yeah, we got that.
That is good.
That's something that is missed a lot, is just the cheeky nature of a lot of stuff. You know, people don't. Everyone's got to take themselves so seriously now. Everything's so serious. So everything's either good or bad. And I'm just like, why can't we just have good time?
Exactly.
I mean, sometimes naughty things are good and fun.
As long as you're straightforward and letting everybody know these are not, bedtime story reading type thing for the kids.
Yeah.
And most people are that way. And as far as I'm concerned, more power to you. Put out there whatever you want to put out there.
And I will say that in Mary Machinegun, the book, there is no nudity.
Oh, I'm canceling that order now. Come on, let's.
There's no nudity in the book. There's a lot of like side boob action and stuff like that, but we didn't go with any nudity. But because we wanted to wait, we'll bring that in book 2.
You guys are aware there's a thing called the internet, right? And you can Google anything and the nudity will come up?
Yeah, nudity will come up. That's true.
Yeah, but that's the problem is you Google anything on there and it usually comes up with other nudity that you did not want to come up.
Yeah, I remember once, I don't know why I got in the mood for it, but I Googled sci-fi porn. Thought, wow, I didn't think that through.
A bunch of tentacle hentai.
Well, before I get banned in every single country that this is being broadcast to at some point, we'll go ahead and close this out for the evening. But I have had a great time talking to you guys and definitely looking forward to Neo Tokyo coming out. So before we take off, if y'all just let us know where we can find you online so everybody can start following you on that. And I know that you've got one over here in particular, Dan Stockwell, is definitely going to be looking forward to your stuff coming out.
Sweet. Yeah, you can check us, the company, just at Mary Machinegun, pretty much on everything. Twitter at Mary Machinegun, Facebook, facebook.com/Mary Machinegun, Instagram at Mary Machinegun. I don't know how I got so lucky that no one had used Mary Machinegun. I mean, because there's Machine Gun Mary, and no one chose to use Mary Machinegun as their username.
Is it just me, or does Mary Machinegun sound like something Caliber would have printed in 1988?
It definitely sounds like it.
Yeah,
I could totally see them having had a crossover with the Crow at some point, you know.
Sister Mary Machinegun, that's a band, right? Or no, not Sister Mary Machinegun. Sister Machinegun is the band, and it was originally Sister Mary Machinegun. And I actually contacted the band and be like, "Hey, do you guys have a problem with this?" And they're like, "Nope, no problem. make it cool." And I was like, "All right, sweet." And then we dropped the sister part because we determined that it kind of would limit the stories we could tell with the character.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I remember when I did a rewrite on one of the early scripts, it was still called Sister Mary Machinegun.
Yep, it was Sister Mary Machinegun for a long time until probably February of last year. That's when we changed it. We were always kind of, me and Fernando were talking about it, and it's like, well, we've made it in this world where, like, monsters and everything exist, right? So if we call it Sister Mary Machinegun, that limits us to only when the Catholic Church existed, you know?
So well, it also has a demographic thing. You know, M might be less crowded in a listing than S would be.
That's true. That's true. And that's why it's one of the reasons it's called Atrocity Press, is because it starts with an A.
There you go.
It's right there at the beginning.
Yep.
Josh, what about you? How can we follow you?
I'm on Facebook, on Twitter. I'm the real Josh Hadley. There's a few other Josh Hadleys, so I'm the real one, and you'll see all the off-color jokes and know that it's definitely me. And I have a quote from The Prisoner, the old TV show, in my bio. I do technically have an Instagram, but I only use it to like my girlfriend's dog's photos. It's the only reason I ever use my Instagram. My website is massively out of date, but 1201beyond.com. And I do Radiodrome and now Retrodrome, which you can find over on Anchor. So that's where you can find me until the book comes out.
Very cool. We're definitely looking forward to that, and we'll be paying attention to seeing what's going on with that. But I certainly appreciate you guys being here. And we'll be back whenever get closer to launch and everything.
Yeah, definitely. When we get closer to April, we'll just, I don't know how far you're booked out, but we'll chat.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I certainly appreciate it. Y'all have a great evening. I'm gonna go ahead and close us out. And yeah, it's been a good one tonight. Certainly appreciate y'all being here.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right. So we had a hell of a show, hell of a guest on here. Had some fun. Got to know about some of the projects going on that they've had and are going to be having coming up. Now, I always have a closing statement on all of my shows. Tonight's not going to be any different than that. tonight, I mean, and I try to base it on what's going on with my show. I will say there were some technical difficulties, and for some reason I cannot post on Facebook. As I went through and kind of looked at it while I was going through, it said that I was reported as being hijacked or stolen. Now, I know there's issues out there, and Facebook has glitches and whatnot. But if someone is trying to screw with the show or something like that, I just want to say it didn't work. We're still on YouTube. We still hit some people on here. This will be posted up on Facebook to go ahead and get some more people to watch it, and we'll move from there. As far as I'm concerned, I made the comment on the show saying that if you haven't ticked off one person, then you haven't tried hard enough. So, at least I achieved something tonight. So until next time, I thank y'all for being here. It looks like my next show is going to be on Thursday at 9 p.m. And I will get confirmation of my guest before I go ahead and announce everything. But we do have some great shows coming up, and Unscripted will be back this Saturday on YouTube only at 10 p.m. So at 10 p.m. Central, Unscripted, don't miss out on that one. So thank y'all for being here. Appreciate it. Hope y'all have a great evening. Wash your damn hands. And we'll see you next time. Keep those waves of change going.